What's going on, everybody? It is your boy, the Storyteller. Today we got another Mountain Blade VO. One of the one of the last ones that we'll end up getting through, but I didn't think I'd be recording these tonight. Definitely a little bit impromptu. I know I already stutter and pause a lot as is, so if it's a little bit extra than normal, you know why. But today, I guess one thing that I'll talk about is we'll talk about the sports history of Chris. Sports history of Chris actually has a lot of different phases in it. You could start back as early as I think probably 6 or 7 years old. I was on my local rec league's little league soccer team. And the first year was my first year playing sports. I was definitely still immature. I've been a part of group projects and things like that, but with sports it's a little bit different than working on a project or whatever. And so I definitely learned a lot from dealing with it, especially on my first year of soccer, because a lot happened. a lot happened. Um, so the first week where we were supposed to start, I guess, um, the coach wasn't there. So there was, I think, probably 12, maybe 13, 14, 15 of us who were gonna play soccer for the rec league during the season or whatever. And there was no one there but the few parents that stayed and the kids. And so everybody was a little confused, or is the coach not here? Did the coach get fired? Did he forget? What may have you. But at the end of the day, we're still here. So it's what do we do? My dad actually took up the mantle. I was like, well, all the kids are here. I don't know much about soccer, but I know an important part of, any sport is conditioning. So we did a lot of running back and forth that very first day. We did a lot of running back and forth. Then while we were running, he pulled out his phone and was looking up some soccer drills, and he broke out the cones and the soccer balls and had us running around cones, shooting at the goal. We were cycling people in and out of the goalie spot to play goalie. And obviously we're kids. There's not exactly a whole bunch of impossible shots for us to hit or try to catch. But it's a very big goal, and we're very small people. So the big goal was, just to aim out at the edges. If the goalie was standing in the middle, aim out at the edge, and then hope that he doesn't have the reaction time. For me, I was actually a really good goalie. Whether the ball was up in the air a little bit, or you managed to put it directly in the corner, I was able to recover that motherfucker. I was able to see where the ball was going, and I was able to catch it before it actually ended up in the goal. So that was interesting. I actually got put on as goalie my very first year, and that very first year, I think there was only a couple of goals that got scored on me throughout the entire season, and one of them was a goal that the kid actually managed to basically do a pro thing and put it up in the top left corner. And I dove for that motherfucker. I got up about as high as I could. There's probably a good half a foot between my fucking fingertips and the ball, and I landed flat on my ass because how much power I put in the jump. But I went for it, and that says a lot in and on itself. I took my first loss at some point in that year, and I got hit with the lesson of you lost, but did you do everything you could? Did you have fun? Things of that nature. And that was a nice growing thing for me. Past that, or actually a little bit before all of the games and all the accolades and stuff, the coach that was supposed to coach us actually came on week 2, Monday. So he was a whole week late. And he pulls dad to the side. I don't know the conversation exactly. Obviously, I didn't overhear it because he just had us running while the adults talked. But basically, the coach fucked off, and Dad continued to coach that entire year. And crazy thing about it is, we actually won the champion, like the little league, fucking little championship thing or whatever. It wasn't really a tournament. It's little leagues, but we had the best record by the end of the little league season. So crown champs. It was actually pretty legit. I think I still have the trophy somewhere down in here. It was probably, just a trophy from, it doesn't have the plate on it anymore. But, fairly certain that's the trophy that we got, for that first year. And, I did do it a second year. Oh, actually, hang on. Let's see. That's Berkeley. I don't know why I have this one. But, I'm fairly certain this is the one that I got in my first year. Then the actual rec league gave us this one. And then the second year I played soccer, I got this bad boy. So, that was pretty cool and all. They're pretty generic. They don't have your names on them, I'm pretty sure. This was like, the start of the era where you could just go to a store and, buy a trophy, to give everyone, a participation prize. But, it was nice as kids to, get something, like, especially with the way we were playing that year. Actually, I think there's a picture somewhere. I don't know if I still have it. Actually, I do have a couple of my soccer pictures. Hang on. So, funnily enough, yeah, Dad looks a little bit different. You got me right in here. I was actually really cool with this kid, even though he was super awkward. You got my older brother as assistant coach, and then you got my dad as regular coach. So, that was pretty cool and legit. I don't know where, when, or how Dad managed to snap this picture, but he actually got a picture of me defending a ball. That was pretty legit. And then I got one more soccer picture. This is actually from the second year, I believe. I have... that was soccer, in a nutshell. Past that, we get into football, and football was a little bit of a different story. I don't know if I've covered it in previous recordings, but I actually got bullied my first year of football because I went from a non-contact sport to a very high contact sport, and this is in 6th grade, and middle schoolers, they haven't really, developed fully into their, bodies that they're, gonna develop into, but, you can start to see it a little bit. Like, some kids get a little bit bigger up top, some kids, just get a little bit taller, some kids, just kind of stay the same for a little while. And I was one of the kids who kind of stayed the same. I think back in middle school, I was probably like 80, 90 pounds. And that first year, I didn't know how to tackle. I didn't know how to, like, drop the shoulder. I didn't know any of that. So a lot of times when I would tackle people, I would literally get sent flying. So I got bullied a lot for that. It also didn't help that I was, a really soft tackle, but I could outrun everybody on that team. My sprinting from soccer and all of that, unmatched. Literally, even, like, the jackass of the fucking football team, he was the quarterback, but he was also, like, the ringleader for a lot of the bullshit. He actually was like the first in the pack a lot of times because he would start so close to like the direction the coach would usually have us run, and even though I would start in the back of the pack a lot of times, I still end up dusting him a lot of times out of 10 defending. So I don't know if that rubbed him the wrong way. I don't know if he was just trying to assert dominance. I don't know what the fuck his agenda was, but I got picked on quite a bit, and eventually parents noticed and, you know, called out the kids for it. Coach took into action. But it really wasn't a fun year. I did it a second year, but that's a different conversation. On a different team, thankfully. And on the first year, I was corner and safety. On the second year, because I was on B team, I was the only one who could snap the ball. So I ended up being a center at like 85 pounds. In 7th grade, I was the center. It wasn't a great idea on the coach's part, but in the same breath, I actually didn't do a bad job at center. I could snap the ball well. I could fucking, you know, hold off my guy for at least like 5 seconds. So on my end, you know, the quarterback had time to, you know, observe and do his thing. So yeah, I mean, those were the early years, you know, middle school and elementary, 4th, 5th grade, you know, rec leagues. That's what it was for like the first 4 years of me doing sports. But that's actually going to do it for this first one. You have to check out the second one if you want to see a little bit more of rec league stories, or actually just early sports year stories. But if you enjoyed, this has been The Storyteller. I post every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, potentially some Saturdays mixed in. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe down below if you enjoyed, and hey, I'll see you guys around. More to follow. Not too many more, but I'll find time for these little things. Bye bye.